Welcome or welcome back to the monthly knitting recap hosted every month by yours truly. This is the July 2023 edition. We are in August, and so I'm here to recap everything that I knit, purchased, anything knitting related that happened to me in July. My air purifier is on and I just realized that, so let me go turn it off. I don't know how it was for you guys, but for me July was a crazy month, and I was thinking back on everything that happened this month, and it's like I cannot believe that what happened in the first week of July happened only 30 days ago-ish, you know? And I will point out before I get into the knitting, if you've been here before, you will notice that yes, I did cut off a lot of my hair. I have an annual haircut, and usually I try to time it for summertime so that I have short hair in the summer, and this year it didn't get cold, at least in LA, until like end of June. So now it's really hot and I'm hoping and wishing for cooler days to come, but yes, the hair is gone. I chop off, you know, however many this length is, or a little bit more than that. I chop off a lot once a year, or every year and a half. Okay, you don't care about the hair. Probably if you're here, you care about the knitting. I have one whip. No, that's not true. I have one finished object, which I'm wearing. We will get into it very shortly. I have 2.5 whips to show you guys, and then, of course, some yarn. Okay, let's start with my one and only finished object, which is what I'm wearing. I'm on the ground. I always film on the ground, by the way. You can probably tell. So I'm gonna just awkwardly scoot back so you can see the full piece. Here it is. This is another Drawstring Cami by Christelle Liu on Ravelry, or you probably know her as another dot knit on Instagram. This was a test knit for her. The test knit came out, I think it was like end of June, so I believe I briefly flashed this as a whip to you guys last month. This was knit up in 1x1 rib for like 99% of it, knit flat as well, and then a lot of I-cord, so you know, because the drawstring portion obviously, and then the straps are also I-cord, and the needle I used was 2.75 millimeter for, if I remember correctly, essentially the entire piece. This was knit up in one strand of Madeline Tosh Merino Twist Light, or is it just called Twist Light? It is a superwash merino yarn, and the colorway is Tarte. I only bought a single 100 gram skein. I used probably, I didn't weigh it, but I had a tiny little ball left over, so I used the majority of that 100 gram skein, and it is a fingering weight yarn, and like I mentioned earlier, the needle size that I knit this on was 2.75 millimeters. I'm obsessed with this color, like this deep red and like the slight variations in the red throughout the piece. Love it. Mwah. Chef's kiss. I really like this color. This is exactly what I wanted to go for when I was picking out my yarn. And I know the opinion on knitting summer garments in wool or superwash is like pretty heavily debated, I think. I live in Southern California. It is pretty hot here most of the time. So I didn't know how it would feel wearing a merino garment in the summer, but genuinely this isn't bad. I don't feel any more hot in this than I do in anything else that I would wear that's not wool or not knitted. Like it's just hot. And if I'm warm in this, it's not because of the garment. Slight angle change, because I feel like this is better and I can sit more comfortably and I don't have to kneel, so sorry about that. But what I was saying was, I've worn this out a couple of times out and about. It doesn't feel any more or less hot than my other summer pieces that are not knitted or wool, so honestly it's fine. I think it's great. Construction wise, this was knit, and I talked about this a little bit in my last video and also in the beginning when I started off this piece, but this was knit flat, and so I don't know if you can tell, but there's like this side panel here, so it's knit in 2 pieces. So you have the front piece, which is like this chunk right here, and then these are the seams that you eventually seam the front and back panels together with, and then the back panel it's slightly longer because it goes around your whole back, and then it ends like right in the front here. I mean, you can tell what I'm showing. And then when you seam the front and back panels together, you create these little channels for the drawstring, and of course then you have to do the I-cord drawstrings, 2 of them, as well as the I-cord for the straps. So if you like doing I-cord, this piece is great for you. I didn't mind doing I-cord, but my last finished object before this one was the gray peplum top, which had a lot of I-cord. It was an I-cord strap as well, and the I-cord edging along the like neckline and then the bottom hem. So then I jumped straight from that into this, which was more miles and miles and miles of I-cord. So really by the end of this piece, I was like, I never want to do an I-cord ever again. And so I'm gonna stay away from I-cord for a little while now. But you know, if you have like an I-cord machine or something, go for it. Like, it's gonna make your I-cord experience so much better. Or if you just like doing I-cords, then this would be great for you. It's super stretchy, like extremely stretchy, but because it's 1x1 rib, it does still hug the figure pretty nicely. I had a wonderful test knitting experience as well. This was my first time doing any sort of test knit, and I've realized that usually when I look at a pattern and my numbers are off, like the number of stitches that I have versus what's written in the pattern, if that number is off, my very first instinct is just to assume that I did something wrong. So it's been a very fascinating experience test knitting, because I have to really evaluate, like, did I make a mistake, or is the pattern numbering or calculations off by a little bit? It's been, yeah, just fascinating. And I didn't realize that my first instinct is to second guess myself versus what's written in the pattern. So I think the process of test knitting is going to make me a more intentional and aware knitter. Like, I do count my stitches and stuff, but because I'm never usually just knitting, like I'm always knitting and doing something else, so I just assume that any mistakes in the numbering of stitches or whatever is my error and not the patterns. So anyways, I am doing one more test knit, and we'll talk about that. It's actually what's being hung up very ominously right here behind me. But wonderful test knit experience. It was a very quick piece, and I think a great summer piece, especially if you have like a 100-gram skein of something in fingering weight lying around. So this is it. The, what is it called? Another Drawstring Cami by Another Knit. Oh yeah, also with this piece, I learned how to mattress stitch or mattress seam. Seaming, joining. This was my first time doing any of that for a piece, so that was a skill that I learned with this test knit, which was super cool. All right, getting into my whips now. I have another red piece here. This is the beginnings of a Vienna Blouse by Sandnes Garn. The pattern, where is the booklet? I will go grab it shortly. It's this guy. You've all probably seen it. It's this blouse right here. I am making a reddish orange version. Okay, I definitely can't wear this for long because this is just straight up wool and mohair, and no, that is not happening in summertime. But you can see the difference in the shade of red. It's a orangey red, and I have the front little gosh, sorry, I have like summer brain. I cannot for the life of me remember words right now. The front panels, it's knit flat obviously because it's not, yeah, as you can very clearly tell, it's not joined in the round. And I've started on the sleeve. Okay, taking that off because again, mohair and summertime and sweat do not mix very well. The first thing I'll say is I haven't knit with mohair in a good while, and I love working with mohair. That's what I've learned. I love the way that it just glides across the needles, and it feels like the piece goes by so much quicker for whatever reason. And I just love the way it looks. I love how fuzzy it is. I love how it feels on the needles. I love how it looks like worked up. I just love working with mohair. So that was an absolute joy to discover. One other thing that I learned with, not this piece in particular, but kind of applicable because the needles are on here. These are 3.75 millimeter needles. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I am 90% of the time, 95% of the time, a metal needle girly. I've tried here and there to use wooden needles, and I hate how they feel. Hate is a strong word too, I know, but I cannot, and maybe because I'm using the wrong brands. Like for metal needles, I use ChiaoGoo's, and I know ChiaoGoo's are like, they're wonderful. The joins, the cable, the way they feel, like the sound, I love that sound. I live for that sound. But with wooden needles, and the ones that I have here, here you can maybe try to see. I don't know what kind of wood this is at all. But these are, I think these are Knitter's Pride. I just got them off Amazon. They were kind of pricey too, like compared to ChiaoGoo's. ChiaoGoo's are usually like 12 to 14 bucks. I think these are like 16. And I have heard pretty decent things about Knitter's Pride needles from other podcasters, so I thought I would give it a try. And guys, I hate it so much. I don't know if it's a yarn thing too, because so like right here where the wood and the metal join is, like right here, the yarn catches there every single time. I'm like scooting the stitches across the needle right now, and it catches, and something about that feeling where it doesn't slide smoothly across the needle, it raises this incredible fury and irritation deep in my heart. And I don't know, it's probably because it's summer and I get agitated and irritated really easily right now, but that, like just how hard it is to scooch. I need a frictionless experience, and this is not giving me a frictionless experience. So I have really put this on hold. Because my metal 3.75 millimeter needles right now are being held up with this project. And I'm also about to go on a plane for a couple of trips, and I didn't want to risk it with metal needles going on a plane, so I thought, okay, I should like buy wooden needles and just try to get used to it. Oh, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it. At least not with mohair. Maybe I should try it with a different yarn and see if that helps. But guys, I genuinely don't know. I've tried another brand, I think it's called like Bamboo or something. They sell it at Michael's, but I did buy that off of Amazon as well. I've heard really, really good things about C-knit needles, I believe, wooden ones in particular. And so if I'm ever desperate enough, I might give that one a try. But if you guys have any wooden needle recommendations, let me know. And honestly, I think I'm just resigned to the fact that I love metal needles, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like I have to like wooden needles. But I don't know, I kind of want to understand what the hype is about, and I'm not getting it. So maybe I'm buying the wrong brands or something. Or maybe interchangeables are the way to go. I don't know. Okay, but back to the blouse. I'm knitting this in kind of like a knit along. It's really casual, and I haven't posted about this on Instagram yet, so I feel like I'm not fully part of it yet. But I'm buddy knitting this with Jean. Put her channel right here. You've probably seen her around. We met up a couple weeks ago in person to cast this on together, and it was super fun, and I was late by 30 minutes because I remembered the time wrong, and I'm the worst. But we met up in person in a cafe and started knitting this together, and it was an awesome experience. Okay, I found the knit along, match along. It's called Match Along 2023, hosted by What Maya Made and Emily Curtis. So it's hosted by those two gals on Instagram. The hashtag is matchalong2023. I think they're doing the Tulsa tee, but I have enough tee patterns, I think, at this point, and I do want to make another poppy tee at some point. So I'm not going to do, I wasn't really interested in doing another t-shirt, but yeah, Gina and I are going to do the Vienna Blouse together, and the deadline is like October or something. Let me just figure out the day. It goes through October 21st. So it started June 24th, goes through October 21st. That is plenty of time to finish this. And yeah, this was my progress in about 2 weeks. this was my main focus for about 2 weeks. So here it is. It is on hold now because one, I hate the wooden needles that I'm using for the sleeves, and because I got accepted into a different test knit, and that is because it's a test knit higher priority, and so I'm trying to get that one done first. The yarn that I'm using is, let me show you the newer balls with the bands on them. This is, sorry, sandnes garn Sunday. It's the Petite knit Sunday in this color. I don't know what this color is. 4008. Isn't it that poppy red that she posted about when her poppy tea came out? I'm pretty sure that's what this is. And then the mohair is the sandnes garn Tynn Silk mohair in the colorway Deep Red. And I didn't know this about sandnes garn mohair, but there's a little bit of wool in here. So it's 57% mohair, 28% silk, and 15% wool. That's cool. I did not know that. And of course the Sunday is 100% wool. Merino wool, to be specific. So this is the combo that I'm using. I was, and I might have shown this last month, but let me grab it. So I was gonna do this combo. This is the orange mohair. So this is my current combo, and I was working on this combo, but the garment that I was making was, this is gonna sound so stupid, but it was too orange. Like I wanted it to lean more red, like this, versus like orange. Even though on camera as well and in person too, this is a better color match, but I'm not an orange girly, and as stupid as it sounds, because I was literally buying orange mohair, it was making a fabric that was too orange for my taste. So I returned all the mohair that I didn't use, and now I just have one ball here that I will figure out what to do with at some point. But yes, I did go back to the store and I picked up red with this instead, and I do like this a lot better. Yes, so. Okay, let's do the whip that I keep teasing now with the one single sleeve here. Let me bring it down from its hook. Okay, this is what it looks like. I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with this. This is a test knit for Lily Kate. She's a pretty popular designer. There's some stuff by her that I really want to make, and she posted a test call for this when? Like mid-July, and I had just wrapped up this test knit, and I was like, well, I was gonna take a break from test knitting because there's some stuff that I want to make for myself, you know, for example. But I saw the sample that she posted. I was like, yes, I have to do it. And luckily I was accepted, and so here is my progress so far. I'm not gonna try it on like I normally do for whips and finished objects, just because there's like, I mean, you can see there's so much going on here. It's such a pain to get my head in and out of this. So I promise I will try it on when it's done next month. But right now you can just admire it on the hanger. This is the Piping Hot sweater. Obviously it's a test knit right now. Lily had a sample in like a hot pink and reddish orange color. Photo will be up on the screen, of course, and it looks stunning. And I really think, this is gonna sound kind of silly, but I think this is something that I could wear to work. And that's a huge reason why I picked this, because a lot of the stuff that I've been knitting, I can't really wear it to work. Like I can't wear this to work. I can't wear the peplum top that I knit last month. Can't wear that to work, really. And so I figured this is like a very work appropriate but still fun project. And the piping detail is stunning, of course. Oh, this is the back. The back has the piping detail as well. So it goes along the shoulder, down all the way, you can see here, down all the way to the end of the cuff here, and then front and back as well. So it's a super cool design, and I figured I would learn something new technique-wise with the piping and stuff. So that's why I decided to apply for the test knit, and I'm really glad I was accepted. Construction-wise, since we're already looking at the sweater, and I can just show you the shoulder here, this is a saddle shoulder. I will say I've done now 2 saddle shoulders, because the Vienna Blouse is also a saddle shoulder construction, like you can see right here. This is the edge of the shoulder, but it's done differently. And I don't really have the verbiage to explain how it's different. I think I gotta like, I don't know, experience more shoulder constructions. But I think I've learned that I much prefer saddle shoulders that don't require you to like pick up, how do I explain this? So you know how the saddle is like this little band right here, right? For the Vienna Blouse, it was a continuous process. Like I didn't create the saddle and then I have to go back and like pick up stitches. I didn't do that for the Vienna Blouse, but I did have to do that here. And again, fascinating learning experience, but I didn't love that process. I just don't like picking up stitches in general. And so I found that I had to pick up stitches in the front here under the saddle, and then the back, and then the same thing on the other side, and then I was picking up my stitches, like the number I was getting was all over the place, and I had to redo it a bunch of times. So just it's a me problem. It's not a design problem. It's just a me problem and a personal preference thing. But nonetheless, interesting to learn, interesting to follow along with. And what else can I say about the construction? I do like how the sleeve is tapered. I know a lot of the times, a lot of people I watch prefer like bigger sleeves, and I've noticed that the sweaters I tend to knit have a more tapered sleeve, especially at the end here. So I'm thinking of the balloon sweater, which obviously the whole kind of point, or the main design feature of the balloon sweater is the balloon sleeve, where it tapers off really quick and is tight at the cuff. But I do like this slim, like continuous decreased sleeve as well. I think it's really put together and very elegant. Oh, guys. Okay, I want to show you something. I might have finally unlocked Italian bind off as a skill in my arsenal after so many trials and errors. Okay, look at this collar. Looks a little janky. Okay, let's be real here. We're friends. It looks a little janky. The Italian bind off, it looks twisted or wrong or something like that. I see it too, don't worry. And then something unlocked in my brain for the cuff. Let me get closer so I can show you this. Oh my gosh, look at how neat that is. There's some other tension issues in the cuff, so let's not talk about that. But let's just talk about the bind off. It's so neat. I think I figured it out. I literally finished off this cuff yesterday. I don't know what clicked for me, but and I don't even know if I should get into the weeds of explaining what I did differently from like the collar versus the bind offs that I've done previously, the bind off attempts that I've done previously in other garments. But just know that I think it's clicked for me. Unless someone comments and says, no, that still looks wrong, which I will be devastated. But I will accept that if that is the truth. But to me, this looks like how it's supposed to look. You know what I mean? So anyways, really, really just ecstatic and excited about that. I think that's really all I have to say about this sweater right now. Testing for Lily has also been such a joy. She's so responsive and connected, and is always there to like provide support and feedback. So it's been awesome. Let's talk about the yarn that is going into that sweater. I have here Sandnes Garn Duo in the colorway Marine, and the piping color, or the contrast color, is Blue Sky Fibers. It's called Woolstock Light Fingering, and this is in the colorway Golden Meadow. I'll do a close-up of both of these. There we go. You can see a close-up. I think that the Blue Sky Fibers, I think this is a 1-ply yarn, but I'm holding a double. So the gauge for the sweater is 22 stitches and 32 rows. So that's the gauge for the sweater, which is a DK weight, right? So that's why I'm holding this yarn double, because it's fingering. And the Sandnes Garn Duo, I found that even though it says it's DK, like on the band here it says 22 stitches per 10 centimeters, I find that it is on the lighter side of DK. I think it leans more sport, at least the way that I knit, or the tightness that I knit at. And the needle size called for in the pattern is 4 millimeters, but since this yarn is a little bit on the lighter side of DK, I had to size down to 3.75 millimeters to get gauge. And of course, you know, that's why that I had to use wooden needles on this, because this was also 3.75 millimeters. And also the Peacock cardigan that I'm working on, which I will show you in a bit. I haven't made too much progress on that. It's also 3.75 millimeter needles right now. So all three of my big whips are 3.75, like roughly the same gauge. So that's unintentional, but interesting how it worked out. The color combo, I didn't go into the yarn store wanting to pick up this color combo, and actually this, I think this is like a chartreuse or something, is not a color that I would gravitate towards, but my sister, who is a design student and she's good with color combinations and she has an eye for that stuff, because originally what I wanted to do was dark blue and like light blue or like a silver gray or something, which is very me. And I think a color combo that just is, I don't know, it's not too crazy, doesn't rock the boat, but it also is like work appropriate. So that's what I was gonna go with, but then I went yarn shopping with my sister and she was like, this would be cool. And I put them together in the basket and I was like, yeah. I wanted to go out of my comfort zone a little bit, and I think this color combo is really cool and not something that I would usually gravitate towards, but I, like, as I'm knitting it, I am loving how the piping and just how the contrast looks. Like, I'm obsessed with this. So that's why it's going by so quickly. I started this test knit on July 17th or 18th, something like that. And it's just flown by. Like, it's only been, you know, 2 weeks, roughly, a little bit over 2 weeks, and I'm already on the second sleeve. Okay, this is gonna go back up here because otherwise all my yarn and stuff is gonna get tangled. All right, and the last whip to show you is, like I mentioned earlier, the Peacock cardigan. This is my progress with it. It is, what did I do here? I can't try it on because of what I've done with the barber cords here, but I have made a little bit more progress. So let me see if I can try to show you. So here's the side. I've split for sleeves. I think I split for sleeves already last time I showed you this, but I've knitted a good amount more in the body. It's just stockinette flat now forever. And so nothing too crazy or exciting. Oh, I did start a little bit of a sleeve as well. It's kind of hard to tell here, but here's a little bit of a sleeve. My process with sweaters, cardigans, any sort of like tops, I found is that I will do the yoke until I split for sleeves, and then a lot of the times in patterns it calls for finishing up the body and then moving on to the sleeves, but I just personally really like finishing up the sleeves and then doing the body. It's a mental thing, because if I finish the body and I still have 2 sleeves left, it feels like a slog. But if I do the 2 sleeves, which will go by pretty quickly anyways because they're sleeves, if I complete the sleeves first and I'll try it on, right, and I'll have like 2 sleeves and like a really cropped body, I'll feel really, really motivated to finish the rest of the body. So it's a mental thing for me. That's why all of my whips right now are like, yeah, I did the yoke, split for sleeves, and now I'm working on a sleeve. That's just the process that I like to take with this. The yarn, I've talked about this many times before, but just to reiterate, the yarn is the Fibre Co. Cumbria fingering. It's hung up on my wall, the band, so that's why I'm looking over in that direction. And this is 10% mohair, 90% Masham wool. So far, this is about 19 to 20 hours of knitting, so if you're curious. This is gonna be on ice until I finish the piping hot sweater and finish the Vienna blouse, and we're gonna segue into acquisitions now because I have one more item that I want to cast on in the next, I would say, 3 weeks or so. If you watch YouTube podcasters, then you probably know about the Summer of POP Cal that is being hosted by the Knitting Page and Abigail Makes Stuff. It's their knit along, make along, where you have to cast on essentially something pink before the end of August, and that is like in honor of, you know, Barbie, and like for some reason this year a lot of people are really gravitating towards pinks, hot pinks, light pinks, just pinks in general, POP, pop of pink, right? So I have had this pink yarn in my stash for a long time now. I think for at least 6-8 months. This is, oh my gosh, sorry. I'm trying to wind this up, but I'm just making it worse. This is yarn from Manos del Uruguay. It's called Milo, and it's a merino linen blend. It is 65% merino wool and 35% linen. It's roughly a DK yarn, 20 to 22 stitches per 10 centimeters, and the colorway is Petal. So this is the pink that I've had. I don't personally think that this pink on its own is my thing, but I did buy this. I have 3 balls of this that I got on sale because I could not resist the sale price. So in honor of summer of POP, I was like, I want to use up this pink yarn somehow, and I have been really wanting to make the Louvre sweater by Petite knit, and I just had a vision of this pink with, oh, it's so pretty, dude. This is so pretty, with a Suri alpaca lace and like in this white, but it's also like slightly variegated Louvre sweater. Think about it. I think it'll be so pretty. And this is really janky, so I do apologize. Avert your eyes if you don't like crime. But this is a swatch that I did, or what's left of a swatch that I did. I haven't fully unraveled it yet. And it has that, both yarns combined. Can you see? Can you kind of tell? Yeah. So it is just like this really light pink and white. And obviously, since the Suri lace is variegated, like it won't be pink and white the whole way through. But oh gosh, oh no, it's coming apart. Ah. Yeah, I think this is gonna be so pretty. And look at this cake. Look at this cake. It's so fluffy. It's like cotton candy. I'm so obsessed with this. This will also be my first time working with Suri alpaca. So I'm really excited about it. I've had my eye on this specific brand of Suri for a long time. This is Woolly Warbler, hand dyed in Los Angeles. This is 74% baby Suri alpaca, 26% mulberry silk, 50 grams and 328 yards. She is not cheap. She is pricey because she's hand dyed Suri. But I've been wanting to buy yarn from the Woolly Warbler for forever, and I just haven't had the heart or the excuse or the reason to execute this purchase. But I knew for this knit along that this is what I want to do. I just, in my heart of hearts, it feels right. And I'm so excited about it. I cannot wait to cast this on. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. So my goal is just to cast on the Louvre sweater in the next couple weeks before the end of August, so I can make it in time for that knit along. But that's not gonna be my main focus until probably like the end of September or October. I am doing a little bit of traveling in August, so I'm debating if I want to bring these two along with me during my travels. Well, we'll see. I haven't decided yet. It really just depends on how much space I will have in my suitcase. Okay, everyone, we did it. You have made it to the end of this month's wrap up. Thanks so much for being here till the end. Next month's wrap up is going to be really exciting because I hope to be done with that, and I hope to have made a lot of progress on this, and maybe we would have cast out a Louvre sweater. So you never know. And then I'm also moving literally this week. Like behind you right now is a mess of boxes and suitcases. So I'm moving this week. I will be doing some long-term traveling in a couple of weeks. I'll actually be going to the East Coast. So if you have yarn store recommendations for Boston or New York, hit me up on Instagram and I will very likely check out the stores that are highly recommended. And what else? I think that's it for me. I hope you had a wonderful July, and I hope you have a wonderful August, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.